Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the second season of Fact Up, provided by the one and only our City Action Buffalo. And I am in the accompany with
Harper Bishop.
woo woo
Let's
woo.
go.
So today this episode is dedicated to what? Election
Election
season.
season. Let's do this.
Let's talk about it, right? Because it's been a lot of
Mm,
things going on. We have been on a bit of a hiatus since we finished season one,
mhm.
but we're slowly getting back into the swing of things. And for all of our listeners who have heard already, we're currently in the planning process for our very first live recording. Are you there? Because I will be. It's going to be at the Buffalo History Museum on Thursday, November 14th at 5 p.m. It will also have a couple. No, sorry. It will also preview the sixth annual Anti Displacement Summit that will be hosted at Buffalo State University. It's co hosted by the Department of Africana Studies, and it will be on Saturday, November 16th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be a whole day of learning, so folks better show up and show out.
I mean, as it has been for the past 6 years.
Right.
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 Yeah, so let's get into it. This podcast specifically, we're talking here about this election. And election day, if you don't know, it's Tuesday, November 5th. Why is that significant? Why is that significant, Harper?
Yeah, it's election day all across these lands, and as I just saw someone post, if you want a pro tip, take your PTO November 6th because who knows what's gonna happen on November 5th.
Eesh.
You might need a processing day.
No, seriously. You need to get up and go vote. You
Mm,
need to actually have a plan, and that you need to have that plan today.
right.
Maybe yesterday, like because
Yeah.
on election day anything is possible. You don't know what the weather will look like. You don't know how many people will be in line. You don't know what possibilities are out here. All
Mm.
right. With this divisive election, we need to be making decisive decisions.
Mm.
And so,
I like that. I like that.
although the presidential election has been getting a lot of shine, there
Hmm.
are really important down ballot races that need our attention just as much.
Hmm.
So, me and Harper are going to dissect what's been going on in the election just a little bit, especially for the Buffalo locals. You need to know what's going on, girlies. Okay? Girlies, boys, yeah.
Yeah.
They, them.
The, the gays, theys,
And girls,
and
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
everybody.
So, let's talk. How are we feeling?
Okay, so there's a lot to talk about. And as you said, we've been on a little bit of hiatus, so this is our special. We're coming in pretty hot today. We do want to mention that OCAB did not endorse in this election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have an endorsement committee that is being set up for the mayoral election next year. So, should people want to be part of that process, we absolutely want them to be part of that process. We
Come
are
join.
pro democracy.
Yes.
We are asking people to be invited. And unlike some of our municipal bodies, if you sign up to be part of the committee, you actually hear from us and you will be able to participate
Yeah.
fully.
On a consistent basis.
Yes. So, how I'm feeling, there's a lot to feel right now.
Mm,
And let's take it from the top. I mean, the presidential election is getting a lot of shine, but I think we have to start there because
yeah.
we can't ignore that that's going to play a significant role on how people view the world on November 6th. So, let's start with how you're feeling and then.
I mean, as a migrant
Hmm.
in this day and age of election, and knowing that I personally don't have a vote, so I have to use my voice
Right.
in this capacity to engage with the residents of Buffalo to let them know that they are my vote if they choose to vote, right?
Hmm.
And so it's really like dawning on me, the pressure is on. And while I know that the right is very much organized, and
Hmm.
I can see that in all of their efforts,
Yes.
I have to make sure that the people who support me and love and care for me and cherish the community that we currently have
Hmm.
understand what is at stake this election. So I'm pretty stressed. Um, it all
Because
sounds
you're a
good.
thoughtful person. Yes.
It
Yeah.
all sounds good, but maybe
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard days. It's
Yeah.
hard days. But I'm excited because I see the excitement around this election with some of my
Mm-hmm.
friends who are ready to vote,
Mm-hmm.
especially people my age.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited for to see that come to fruition,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully the results are in our favor.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that immigrants really are on the front line of the front lines
Mm-hmm.
this election cycle, just how they're being spoken about in the media, in the election. We really, I know that there was a solidarity rally that you
Yes.
participated in and helped to promote. What was the feeling, as you were there on Saturday for that rally? Were you feeling solidarity? What was the vibe?
Shout out to NYIC,
Mm-hmm.
Justice for American Families, Access Western New York, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the organizations that participated with in collaboration with each other for the Solidarity Rally. It felt like solidarity before we got there. So in the planning stages, you felt community. This is what community looks like. And I
Right.
truly live by that mantra
Mm-hmm.
when I say these organizations mean that when they say that.
Right.
The atmosphere there, I only saw videos because that was like birthday day.
Oh yes,
That
that's
was birthday
right. Happy
season. So
birthday.
as
Mm-hmm.
much as I wasn't there live that day, I
Mm-hmm.
was so heavily involved in the promotion of it and
Right.
ensuring that people were aware that it was happening. And so I got like so many videos and like feedback of how the day went.
Mm-hmm.
I saw so many pictures. It was a great turnout. People had really great sentiments that they spoke on the day of the actual solidarity rally. And you could just see from the pictures that like it was heartfelt, it was real, and they were in solidarity with each other in those moments. They like made signs that
Mm-hmm.
were very personal,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just overall that experience, like, we need to do that more often as a
Mm-hmm.
community. I feel that we need to. This wasn't necessarily um it wasn't a what do I want to describe? It wasn't a like a bigger thing. Like it was just to show awareness that
Mm-hmm.
immigrants exist, and this is a space for you to come in, see yourself, and know that we love you and we support you and we exist here with you in this community. That's all this rally was. It was truly a solidarity
Mm-hmm.
rally. And I can appreciate that because they didn't tell you to do anything after.
Right.
They just wanted you to be there and to feel community.
And I think it is to build the infrastructure should people need to be deployed
Mm-hmm.
to fight for rights and to show solidarity with immigrants and refugees, asylum seekers, as the climate has just been very polarizing in this
Yeah.
moment. So you're right. It was, I heard, a beautiful display from community members out. I know you're on the streets all the time talking to community members. How are they conceptualizing this upcoming election with just 13 days? We're less than 2 weeks out.
Eh, a lot of people are stressed
Yes.
and a lot of people are feeling like they don't want to engage with
Mm-hmm.
this election process. They
Right.
don't want to watch the news. They're
Yeah.
like fearful of all the things. And it's a lot of fear mongering happening. So I have to agree with them in some capacity that that strenuous feeling is
Mm-hmm.
real. And that's why I think when we talk about these things on OCAB, I think it like gives people a different perspective on what happens in politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes them feel like, yes, politics is stressful, but it's also important. Like it's actually something I have to participate in to see
Right.
change.
Mm-hmm.
And so being out in the street and like talking to people, I change a lot of people's sentiments on how they feel about this election.
And we're New Yorkers, right? If we talk about it, we're like, this is supposed to be a blue state, a safe harbor. People expect at 9:01 p.m. that the map lights up and New York goes blue. And if we're feeling the anxiety here about that, just think about other places, you know, around the country
Yeah,
as they're living that reality on a daily basis. And yet, obviously, we know that New York hasn't lived up to the expectations that it has for itself in being a progressive safe haven for many populations. And we'll get
yeah,
to that a little bit later. But I think I just want to, move us away from the presidential election just because so much has been talked about it. But I will kind of leave with the sentiment. I was reading a really incredible um, interview by Mark Lamont Hill with Congresswoman Cori Bush,
mm-hmm.
and he was saying to her, Congresswoman, if you had to cast a ballot today in good conscience, could you vote for Kamala Harris? And
Mm-hmm.
we know she's been outspoken around the need for the United States to stop arming Israel and the stop of the genocide in Palestine and Gaza. And I thought she said something that really took me aback, which was there's a difference between good conscience and strategy. And although I don't feel that I could, in good conscience, vote this way, I know strategically I
Mm-hmm.
need to stop a Donald Trump presidency because of all of the people who will be harmed that I love and that I show solidarity with every day. And
Ouch.
so she was sort of, making that distinction. And I thought it's sad that she won't retain her seat come January 1st, because that is a very strategic, thoughtful, um, you know, answered in response to a question that I think a lot of us on the left and progressive Democrats are struggling with right now.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of leave us there of, wise words from Congresswoman Cori Bush. And, let's jump into and transition to, as you said, Buffalo. Let's get a little local because that's what we do. We're all about those down ballot races. We're all about shining some light on what is happening here and now in our city. And you know, give us a breakdown, Leighton. You've been following this, you've been reporting on it, you've been doing interviews, been going to forums. You're out on these streets, like I said before. So kind of run us through even the basics of the Board of Education, because I imagine there's a lot of people that don't even know right now that there are races. So take us through that.
Okay. So, what will be on the ballot this November 5th, and even before, if you're doing early voting, is the Buffalo Board of Education. Not a lot of people might know, but there are 3 seats available and 6 candidates running for the Buffalo Board of Education. They will serve 5 years. There are currently 2 incumbents who are running with the 6, or including in that 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Ann Rivera decided not to run again, or there would be 3 incumbents running.
Mm.
So I'm happy that she chose not to because, like I personally, I think term limits should exist. Like we shouldn't have one person running in office for so many years.
Mm.
Example here. But yeah, let's not even
Former,
get into that.
former.
Former.
Yeah, let's try it out. Former mayor. Former mayor. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It truly does.
Former mayor. Great. So, Leighton, you've had the chance to meet with the candidates and hear, from them in forum settings. So that's public, like what their public policies are, what they're putting forth in front of the public and their
Mm-hmm.
stances. And then you also took the time to interview them.
Yes.
So, like, break it down. Tell us some of the highlights or lowlights or, what you think.
So I'm gonna go through the 6 candidates real quick, right?
Okay.
So the first candidate that I interviewed was Razia Hill,
Okay.
and she is currently the founder
I
and
think it's
executive director.
maybe Rosiah Hill. I
Razia?
think it's called
Okay.
I think it's pronounced that way. I don't
Okay. When I saw her, I said Razia,
know.
but
Okay.
Razia, I'm respecting you regardless.
Yes, exactly.
But
We
she
both
is
respect you. We both want to get it right.
love.
Yes.
She is the founder and executive director of Every Bottom Covered, a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit providing diapers and goods to local low income families, right?
Okay.
I really appreciated the sentiments that she shared. In the interviews that I did with each candidate, I asked 2 important questions that I think would resonate with each Buffalonian. I asked, why should the residents of Buffalo vote for you? And with you knowing that there is over $1 billion that you will be governing,
Right.
why should the residents of Buffalo trust you with that amount of money management?
That's a
Right?
lot of money. That's bigger than the Buffalo
Common Council
yeah.
budget is.
Yes. Yes.
And they
And
actually get paid through
yes,
the
so
Buffalo School Board.
it's a big deal, $1 billion. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second candidate that I interviewed was Adriana Zilich.
Okay.
Her background is she's an attorney and she's also the co chair of the district special education parents advocacy committee. And I liked her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's doing this from a good place personally,
Mm-hmm.
and she has 3 kids in the Buffalo Public School. And so I think she's running as a mother
Yeah.
first.
Right.
And I really can appreciate that sentiment as a mother wanting to engage in local politics and how the future of her kids can look
Right.
in terms of education.
Yeah,
So,
like she's governing as though her children and these students' education depends on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The third candidate that I interviewed was another woman, and I'm super happy that it's women running.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Truly. This last name you might have heard before. She is Janita Everhart,
Okay.
and she is a street team ambassador for 43 North and
Okay.
former program director for the Buffalo Federation of Neighborhood Centers. Where this name is familiar
Uh-huh.
from, it might be, she's a sister of Maston District Common Council members Annetta Everhart.
Right.
And so I'm happy to see that there is camaraderie there
Yes.
in terms of her and her sister being leaders in this community.
Yeah, and we know Councilwoman Everhart is the chair of the Education Committee. So there
Mm-hmm.
would be synergy, they'd have a working relationship. So yeah, you're right. We're aware that the Everhart name is definitely known in the city of Buffalo at this
Yes,
point. Mm-hmm.
love it. Well, this wasn't the fourth candidate, but I will say his name first, simply because I think it's important to put candidates who aren't incumbents
Okay.
prior to listing incumbents because they already have popularity. This candidate, his name is Ed Speedle, Spidel,
Spidel.
Spidel.
Mm-hmm.
His background is he was the president of District Parent Coordinating Council, and he is the former co chair of the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. He's a father of two Buffalo public school students. And I got a really good feeling from him, good vibes, when I met him personally. On the other hand, I have heard much negative feedback from people who have had personal interactions and relationships with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is pretty damning to me
Yeah.
because, as someone who will be working with the public,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important for them to have good existing relationships with the public. And
Yeah.
so far, he's the only candidate that I've received backlash or um, heard any negativity about.
Yeah, so we do want to underscore that because agreed that once we posted the interviews and also the slides on our Instagram, we heard from many women, specifically
Mm-hmm.
black, brown, white, across the political spectrum, because again, these are nonpartisan races.
Yes.
These are folks that were sharing with us a lot of information that they felt that we left out,
Mm-hmm.
and just shared their personal experiences. They were anonymized for various reasons, um, but gave us very concrete examples of how Mr. Spidel has interacted with organizations, has undermined, CLRI, and the curriculum that makes sure that everyone is seen, heard, and respected in our curriculum and in our schools,
Yep.
and has been very opposed to that. Though when you asked him, he said differently.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
asked him that question. He very much had a much different response.
yes, and we've heard just many stories that we feel like we would be not living into our values as an organization, because even though we are not endorsing someone, we do,
Speak
of
truth.
course, we speak truth, and we also just are champions for equity, inclusion, a more democratic Buffalo, and
Yes.
so when we see a candidate that is doing double speak or has a history of undermining these efforts, we definitely want to bring them up and call them to account. People also cited just his anti-unionism as
Mm-hmm.
something. Clearly, the teachers' union and all of that is something that's been ongoing. But again, as organization, we support workers' rights. And their right to collectively bargain, and the teachers union, of course, is incredibly
Important.
important to our yeah important to our city,
Yes.
just how they bring about democracy in the city by making sure that people do know that they have a choice to vote and getting the word out. My wife worked in the Buffalo Public Schools for several years, and the adult education. She told me yesterday that they still called her, the Buffalo Teacher Federation, and told her to get out and vote. And they also
Mm,
took a stand on Prop One, which we'll talk about in a minute, and told her to go out there and vote yes.
yeah,
So we respect the fact that they're organizing, and just wanted to uplift a little bit of this information, all of which we have documentation, to back up, because we think that that's also important, that we don't get into a he said, she said,
yes,
he said dynamic, that we have, the receipts, as we always do, to prove and back up what we're saying. So,
yeah,
unfortunately, we do find ourselves in a position, like you said, that the only feedback that we've received since then was about this particular candidate.
yeah,
And we want people to know that there's more than just this slide and those interviews, that those are just short entry points for people to become more educated. And we want people to go to their websites, to their Facebook pages, Instagram accounts, and do their independent research, and make sure that they're educated on November
fifth.
5th. Yeah.
I mean, that's the good thing about OCAB is that sometimes I think we're doing political education and it might not be as in detail as people would like it to be. And
Sure.
that's why it's important for you to do your own research. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we're saying what we're saying, and what we're saying is true,
Mm-hmm.
right? That does not mean that you won't do your independent investigation to see if what we're saying fact check us,
Mm-hmm.
but also fact check the person that you would like to vote for,
Right.
right? Make that extra effort. It's important for you to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And let me not forget the
Okay, so
two
there's two. Yeah, there's
incumbents.
incumbents. Yep. Yeah, yeah. We want to make sure they get to that, but we felt like we owed it to folks to really make sure that they
Understand.
understood
Hmm.
that we did receive feedback. This is the feedback, and now we are putting it out to you again, the voters, to make a choice. But we do need to make it clear that that's what we
Yeah, and
that we received.
also for everyone else, if you have any interactions with any of these candidates, please comment that
Yes.
and let us know. We
We want
want that
engagement.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the type of engagement that we are looking for.
All right, so
So,
hit us with these incumbents and anything that we need to know about them.
so the first incumbent is Terrence Hurd.
Okay.
He is the founder and president of Friends for a Better Buffalo, a 501c3 organization, and he has been on the board since 2019. The
Mm-hmm.
last incumbent, his name is Larry Scott. He is a certified school psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
also been a member of the board since 2019. And so I do think that both candidates stood their ground at the
Mm-hmm.
forum. I
Yeah.
think they were great speakers. I think they've spoke on a lot of work that they have done,
Right.
a lot of organizing and like rules and commitments that they've dedicated themselves to
Mm-hmm.
in the Buffalo Public Schools. And I
Mm-hmm.
think they're doing great work. I support both of them personally. I think that they have done a good job. Again, I do think that we would love some new blood. And so I always
Mm-hmm.
want people to research the new candidates that are running.
Yeah, and this is pretty serious. As you said, they're in control of $1 billion, and their terms are for 5 years.
Yeah.
So this is a significant amount of time to pick someone and to choose these candidates. Again, we'll be out at the polls talking to people. We always have good conversations about Board of Education. People want to share their experiences with Buffalo Public Schools. We love, and that helps to inform us on our education policy. Proud supporters of the public schools and that system. Um, my children are in the Buffalo Public Schools, and
Yeah.
so I also take this very personally, and want to make sure that we have given people the knowledge and understanding that these races are taking place. And we'll definitely see you out there, and we'll remind you, because the other ones, people have heard the other names, the other races, they might not have heard about the Board of Education. So we just,
Yeah.
again, that's why we're bringing this up as much as we are.
Something else that's on the ballot that's
Okay.
pretty damn
Mhm.
important, right, is Proposal 1.
Sure.
So, Harper, tell me, what is Proposal 1?
Okay, so Prop One is it would be an amendment to the New York State Constitution,
Mm.
and it is to stop discrimination. And I'm gonna just read the verbiage that people are gonna see, because I think it's important that they familiarize with themselves with the language,
Yes.
because it's not, language that we're used to saying and out there, right? There was a lot of conversation through the New York State judicial system going all the way to the Supreme Court about whether or not the term abortion would be used. And the
Yes.
impetus really is that we saw those abortion rights be rolled back, Roe v. Wade, by the U.S. Supreme Court. And so states have taken it on them to pass certain amendments into state constitutions to codify that and to make sure that discrimination and abortion rights are on the ballot, really.
Yes.
And also, it's supposed to be anti-discrimination for other folks, including sexual orientation, gender identity, and expansion of that into our constitution. So it reads like this: this proposal would protect against unequal treatment based on ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, and sex, including sexual orientation, gender identity, and pregnancy. It also protects against unequal treatment based on reproductive health care and autonomy, which people have taken to read around IVF, miscarriages, and other services that would protect reproductive health
Right.
and health care.
Yes.
And so, although that's not sexy language, what it does is something that is very important. And we are one of the only, if not the only county where you will not have to flip over the ballot, but you'll see it right on the front. There are two proposals. On the left hand side is the one that we're talking about. That's the New York State proposal. And then on the right hand, there'll be one county proposal. A lot of New York City and other folks have other proposals, and that's why they're on the back of the ballot. But we are happy to see that it's right where all the other electing is
Yes.
happening, right?
Yes.
Because people can see it and they can interact with it and make a decision. We want you to tick that box. Yes.
Yes.
Yes is what we're going for here.
A vote yes puts these protections in the New York State Constitution, right? So this makes it law. Like, this is a really big deal. This will happen for a lifetime for many. And so
Yeah.
it's pretty important that we put this in the law and not leave it in the hands of politicians.
That's right. So the idea here is that in the last election cycle, we saw Lee Zeldin and the Republican Party come very scary close
To winning.
to winning. Yes.
Mhm.
That was less than 6%, is what Governor Kathy Hochul won by.
That's
And
crazy.
so, yes. So, you know,
And that sounds
I don't
crazy
have
for
to
New
talk
York
to
State.
you about future protections and making sure that we don't have, people deciding, one day that it's okay, to discriminate, and the next day not to discriminate. We need to make sure that is codified into law. So in perpetuity, we have these protections for all of us. And so
it's also like
yeah,
important for like work environments. Like this also puts it into law for work environments. Let's think about that, guys. What does this mean for people who are applying for jobs who look like me and you? It means something different for each individual. So let's put this in law. Yeah.
and in just a few minutes, what are we doing?
We will be speaking at a press rally
Mm-hmm.
or press conference right in front of City Hall,
Right.
along with new part agenda, along with PPG, and I think it's gonna be a good conversation because not only am I speaking, but I think it's important for us to have a conversation about this and like put real stories to allow people to understand what is really at stake
Right.
in terms of proposal one. I'm a migrant, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Mm-hmm.
I am black.
Mm-hmm.
These are all reasons that make me diverse, right? These are also reasons why it's important for you to vote yes to Prop One.
And it's important that anyone that is listening, that you go out there and you not only vote yes, but you also do what we need to do, which is organize our communities to vote yes as well. As Leighton referenced earlier, there has been a very well organized and coordinated effort by the right to vote down this proposal. There is a press conference happening actually right now that is it's one of the biggest pet peeves I have in life right now. It's the coalition to quote save women's sports, and that's all about trans misogyny and making sure that from their viewpoint, trans women are not able to participate in sports of the gender that matches their identity. And Unfortunately, once again, that's already a go in New York State.
Yes.
That's already been litigated, decided, it's codified into law. But the idea is that it cannot be rolled back if we pass this proposition. And so, our city, when we sort of have been telling people the story of we were doing just our normal kind of workshops and trainings and
Yeah.
orientations and different events, fundraisers, and when we would ask people if they knew that this proposition was on the ballot, almost no one would raise their hands, and that was alarming to us because our folks are pretty politically engaged. They're the people that are usually telling other folks what's going on.
Yeah.
And we pride ourselves on that, but also we want to get outside of those folks. And when we realized that even our people didn't know that this was happening, that
Imagine
was
the
a
rest of the city.
yeah, that was a red
Yeah.
flag for us. Definitely a red flag. So then, as you know, we started to organize other community-based organizations and talk with the Democratic Party and other folks who we felt would be sympathetic to what we were trying to do. And that has been its own journey and its own discussion. But we do think that we've helped to sound the alarm, at least here in Buffalo, and we'll keep on pushing it until Tuesday, November 5th.
Yes. So, with that being said, vote November 5th. That's election day. You cannot vote after that. So, make a plan to vote.
Right. And that's a good point. Actually, those are the last votes in at this point because
Yes.
early voting is about to get underway and people can vote early and not so often, but they can vote early. And, once again, we're trying to pass a non discrimination proposition and proposal into the state constitution so that our rights are protected, come hell or high water,
Mm-hmm.
no matter who's in office, they stand. And like you said, there's so many persons who have different lived experiences and they need to be protected. And we need to not take for granted that we live in New York
Safe
State
haven.
and that we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're
No.
not leaving it up to chance. We got to organize like our lives depend on it because they do, right?
Yes. Before we go,
Right.
I want to engage you all in a couple of events that we have coming up.
Okay.
We have, so
Mm-hmm.
next week, we will be collaborating with 26.
Hey,
26.
we love it. We love it.
26 Allen, that's also the name of this bar. And we're super excited to be in collaboration with them once again. We had our second annual drag brunch there
Yes,
earlier this
so
year.
fun.
And now we will be collaborating about karaoke. Karaoke, that's an event that's happening
Yes.
on October 30 at 26 Allen. You have to be 21 to come, and it's starting at 9:30.
Okay.
It's also hosted by Morning's Cartoon, and I will be your guest judge
I
as well
mean,
as
let's.
Mr.
I
Cocktail.
mean, come on.
Come on, how can you
And
not love this?
yes, and we have some folks who are going to be showing up and popping out for Proposition One.
Yes,
We're going to be
come get some
educating the
flyers, come
community,
get
making
some
sure that they are ready to go.
aware, public awareness.
Yes.
The next event that I want to bring up
Mhm.
is our, second annual meat raffle.
Oh, yes.
Our second annual meat raffle. Love, last year this was a blast. It was over 100 people in the room. And
Mhm.
when I tell you, just like Arby's, OCAB has the meats, when I tell you that that's really true when you come,
Yes.
it's 533 Amherst Street. It's November 1st. It starts at what time? 6?
At 6 p.m.
Yeah.
and the first spin is at 7 p.m. So you
Yep.
want to come get settled. You need that hour, believe you me. Like it goes fast.
And bring your snacks. Bring
Yes.
your snacks. Bring your
Yes.
drinks. I mean, $20 to
And
get
just
a drink.
and shout out to
Free.
Krista Glenny for writing in the Buffalo Spree.
Yes,
You
like
can read all about the meat raffle. It is incredibly well written. We love what she's doing there. Thank you so much for your support, Krista
it's a big
and
deal.
Buffalo Spree. Yeah, for sure.
The next event that
Yeah, it's
listen,
going right.
we
We're
have things going
busy.
on,
Right.
okay? Believe us.
Small but
So
mighty.
when I tell you that, just like we said earlier, Fact Up, this is the second season, and we're hosting our first live
Mm,
show.
wow.
Are you ready?
We're,
Oh, you ready, babes?
big fan.
Um,
They
we
could not. They could not be ready for this.
Thursday, November 14th. At what time? What time is it?
5
I
p.m.
believe it's.
social hour. Come get drinks with us.
Yeah.
Come hang
Yeah.
out. And then at 6 p.m., we're going live.
Live. It's hosted by yours truly,
Mm-hmm.
Amber, Allison, the one and only, the
Mm.
second communications coordinator,
Yes.
and John Henry Grant.
We love
And
it.
we cannot wait to show you what we have in store.
We have so many incredible speakers. Like, we lucked out that, like, some of the sharpest minds about displacement, about all of the things happening in Buffalo have said yes. Like, I could not believe when you told me everyone who RSVP'd.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's real. It's happening.
yeah.
Pop out. Buffalo History Museum. And last but not least,
Mm.
the Fact Up Live will be in tandem with an event that's happening 2 days later.
Right.
That will be Saturday, November 16th. It will
Mhm.
be hosted at Buffalo State University in collaboration with the Africana Studies.
Yeah, Department of Africana Studies is fire. So,
Yes,
like, shout out to all of them doing their
we
thing
will
there.
be hosting the
Yeah.
Anti-Displacement Summit. This is the how manyth?
The sixth?
We've been around for that long.
I know, right?
It's been over 5 years.
Let's
Girl,
go. Yes.
let's talk about it. So, it will be hosted at Buffalo State. Pop out 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Free lunch, childcare. Be there.
And just because we want to end on such a hopeful note, because we talked about all the anxiety of elections and oh my God, are we going to win? And are we going to get the people that we need? I just want to, like, this is way out of our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You know that we deal with the mayor and on down to, committee people,
Yes.
all
Yes.
the way down. But we just truly want to give a shout out to Chairwoman April Baskin at the County Ledge. Just give her flowers. She took this position. She's made it so incredibly relevant.
Mm-hmm.
She has really been a champion for our community. Um, I can't say enough good things about the changes that we've seen there.
Yeah.
I've paid attention personally more to the Erie County Ledge because of her presence there.
Yes.
And what she's willing to do, how she's willing to go to bat when there's a veto from the county executive. She's even, called the stakeholders back to the table and said, let's get this passed, for language access, for frontline arts, for so many things that have impacted our community. So I just want to say, shout out to her. And even though, again, we're not endorsing a candidate, she's running for state senator. We can't wait to call her New York State Senator April Baskin. So, just want to say we can't. I look forward to personally being represented by you. Shout out to April
We love you.
all the work that she's done there, and we think that that's going to be a successful campaign that we just want to end on a high.
Yeah,
right? We
thank
deserve
you for your
to.
leadership, my love.
Yes,
You've done a great job.
Mm.
And with that, baby,
Mm.
we will see you live next what? November 14th, babes. We'll see you November 14th at the Buffalo History Museum at 5 p.m. sharp. Be there or be square.
Peace out.